Welcome everyone. Introduction to video production. Videography. Introduction. Videography refers to the process of capturing moving images on electronic media. For example, videotape, direct-to-disc recording or solid-state storage like tapeless camcorder. Even streaming media. The term includes methods of video production and post-production. It is the equivalent of the term cinematography but with images recorded on electronic media instead of the film stock. If we look at the origin of the word videography, it combines two different words from two different languages, that is video from Latin meaning I see or I apprehend, and the Greek word graphy means to write. So, the word videography stands for writing what is seen, that is nothing but recording what is seen. Difference between videography and cinematography. We have seen the terms videography and cinematography used interchangeably. What's the difference between videography and cinematography? Distinguishing between these two terms is really difficult, but let's try differentiating their operators, that is videographer and the cinematographer. A cinematographer, also referred to as the director of photography or DP in short, is the individual in charge of the camera and lighting crews on a movie or other video production. The cinematographer is a person accountable for film's cinematography, the art and science of the motion picture photography. Every decision the cinematographer makes must also service the director and the story. On a large production, it is unlikely that the cinematographer operates the camera. That's usually the job of the camera operator who works under the cinematographer. The term videographer came into common vernacular as a way to describe an individual who works in videography or video production as opposite to the film production. Commonly, the term videographer is synonymous with a cameraman or camera operator. What typically distinguishes videographers from cinematographers is that videographers operate with much smaller crews, often working solo. However, the line that distinguishes videography from cinematography has blurred with the advent of digital cinema. So, there is no such significant difference between the techniques used in cinematography and videography. We shall discuss them in coming modules. Next, we will see brief history of the videography. The advent of digital imaging in the late 20th century began to blur the distinction between videography and the cinematography. The arrival of computers and the internet created a global environment where videography covered many more fields than just shooting video with a camera. It includes digital animations such as flash, gaming, web streaming, video blogging, still slideshows, remote sensing, spatial imaging, medical imaging, security camera imaging, and general production of the most bitmap and vector based assets. As the field progresses, videographers may produce their assets entirely on a computer without ever involving the imaging device, using software driven solutions. Moreover, the very concept of sociability and privacy are being reformed by the proliferation and cell phone surveillance video cameras, which are spreading at exceptional rate globally. Next, we will see different types of camera shots. Students, if a scene is a building, then the shots are the building blocks of that scene. That is, several such scenes are put together to compose a scene. If cinema is a language, then the shots are the vocabulary. How we edit them together would be the syntax of the language. So, from these comparisons, you must have understood that these shots are the basic units of a film. Shot selection. As much as the shot is important, the shot selection is also important. You cannot just point a camera at a scene and expect it to convey all the information and atmosphere that the on-the-spot observer would experience. A camera is inherently selective. It only shows certain limited aspects of a situation at any given time. For instance, when you are shooting a cricket stadium scene where viewers get a complete picture of the movements, placement of the players, etc. But you need to get close to the player to capture the details about them, like the team name, jersey number, etc. So, the director should carefully select a shot according to the information he wants to convey. So, what are these different types of shots that are used in films? There are many, namely wide shot, establishing shot, character shot, over the shoulder, transitional shot, connecting shot, cutaways, insert, point of view, etc. These shots appear on the script and are called stage directions. They are helpful for visualizing the scene when one reads a script. As with many film terms, the definitions may be somewhat loose and different people or different films use different terms. Let's look at them individually. First, wide shot or long shot. Long shots are taken at a distance, maybe a quarter mile away, and covers a large area on the frame. For example, if the script says wide shot countryside, we are clearly talking about a big panoramic scene done with a short focal length lens taking in all the eye can see. On the other hand, if the description is wide shot Vijay's room, this is clearly a much smaller shot but still encompasses all or most of the room. Sometimes the long shot is taken from a distant place from the place of action. The distance can be as much as a quarter mile away. This is called extreme long shot. In the extreme long shot, very little details are available and specific information cannot be obtained until the camera goes closer. For example, consider a war scene. You can observe the people fighting each other, but you will never know who killed whom. Normally, the dialogues of the people in the scene is not heard as they are far away unless a voiceover is used. Next, we will see establishing shot. Normally, all the establishing shots are wide shots. Sometimes, the filmmaker wants the viewers to know the basic information of the scene. In such cases, establishing shots are used to open the scene. For example, the script says, establishing shot railway station. Here, the viewer can get a details of a railway station where he can hear the whistle of the trains and people hurrying to catch the train. Like this, once the background is set, the next scene can cut to the main character who may be waiting for the train or gets down from the train. Along with establishing the scene, it may tell us a little story as well. For example, the character in the railway station may be holding a flower bouquet in his hand, which tells us that he is waiting to welcome someone beloved. Next, we will see character shots. Students, can you imagine a film without any characters? Except in documentary genre, all other genres including short films, commercials have people in them. So, the scenes with people are necessary for any kind of movie. Let's see some of the character shots commonly used in the films. The first one is full shot. Full shots capture the character from head to toe. It may be an object too. For example, a car is shown fully. The objects or the characters in the shots are lifelike. That is how they look in the real life. The full shot has an interesting variation. It is called the cowboy shot, which is from the top of the head to the mid thigh. It is used in American films originally to show the 6 guns on the character's belt. Interesting, isn't it? Next, two shot. Two shot includes two characters in the frame. The interaction between the two characters is very much necessary for storytelling. So, the two shots are commonly used in the films. Here, the characters need not to be arranged symmetrically. They may be facing each other or facing the camera as they talk. If there are 3 characters in the scene, then it is called 3 shot. Next, we will move to medium shot. Commonly known as mid shot, this type shot shows the character from waist up, sitting on a chair or driving a car, etc. As we are a bit closer to the character, we can get to see his or her facial expressions, the way they talk and what they talk, etc. Naturally, we get more involved in the character and not distracted to the other background details. Next, close-ups. A close-up or CU is commonly from top of the head to somewhere up to the mid-chest. If the shot is cut just above the shirt pocket area, it is often called head and shoulders. A choker would be from top of the head down to just below the chin. It is useful for showing the facial expressions. If we move little closer, we will get extreme close-up. It has only eyes or the lips of the characters. Close-ups can be of the objects too. For example, it may be a piece of paper on which something has been written. When the close-up scenes are focused on the object, the background is naturally blurred. Generally, the zoom lens are used to get the required framing. Students, you have to keep it in mind that in ECU shots, a tight focus is required. That is, extra care must be taken when setting up the lighting of the shot. The slightest camera shake or error in focal length is very noticeable. Next, we will see over the shoulders. Over the shoulder or OTS can be considered as a variation of the full shot. It is typically a conversation shot where 2 characters are involved. It shows the mid shot or a close-up of the person who is talking, and it is shot over the shoulder of the person who is listening. Hence, it is called the over the shoulder shot. It shows close-up of the one person and shoulders of the other person. OTS is a useful tool for narrative filmmaking. Next, we will move to transitional shots. These are the shots which connect 2 scenes together, but they are not relating to the either of the scenes yet connecting them together. They may come at the beginning, end, or in the middle of the scene. For example, a scene may begin with a sunrise, which generally gives the cue of the beginning of a new scene. It is like a visual code for the viewer. Next, connecting shots. The connecting shots involve a single shots of the 2 people which are edited adequately one after the other. It may be a shot of 2 people talking to each other on a phone, or it may be a sniper taking aim at someone. This is sometimes called a separation. The connecting shots are used when the scene includes 2 people or objects which cannot be framed in the same shot at the same point of the scene. This applies especially to the point of view shots where the character looks at something, then in a separate shot we can see what he or she is looking at. Connecting shots just make a scene feel more complete and whole, but the major drawback is it may not be as involving or emotionally satisfying to the audience, especially if overused. Next, point of view, that is POV. This is an effective shot that gives the audience the feel that you are seeing it from the eyes of the performer, that is actor. It is taken from near the eye level of the actor and shows what he might see. It could be used to give the perspective of the animals too, like a frog, a bird, or a fish. Next, cutaway. A cutaway is any shot of some person or thing in the scene other than the main characters we are covering, but that is still related to the scene. Normally, the object seen in cutaway is something we did not see previously in the scene, particularly in any wide shots. Cutaways are used in the editing process to fill in the footage which is different from main action. B-roll is often used for cutaways. An example might be a cutaway of a bird singing if the shot is focused on the couple in the woods. In almost every scene you shoot, make sure that you have taken enough cutaways as editorial safety, even if they are not called for in the script or essential to the scene. Next, inserts. An insert is an isolated, self-contained piece of a larger scene. It is different from a cutaway because the objects seen in the insert shots are seen in the wide shots. For example, a girl is reading a book. We could just shoot the book over her shoulder, but it is usually hard to read from that distance. A closer shot makes it easy to read. Informational inserts. These are mostly about giving audience some essential piece of information we want them to know. For example, name of a file taken out from the drawer. Emphasis inserts. Emphasis inserts are usually closely connected to the main action but not absolutely essential for it. For example, showing the tires when the car brake is applied. Next, atmosphere inserts. Atmosphere inserts may have almost no connection to the scene. These are little touches that contribute to the mood, pacing or tone of the scene. Next, we will see different types of camera angles. The term camera angles means different things to different people, but it always refers to the way a shot is composed. Some people use it to include all the camera shot types, others use it specifically mean the angle between the camera and the subject. We will concentrate on the literal interpretation of camera angles, that is, the angle of the camera relative to the subject. Basically, the camera angle marks the specific location at which the camera is placed to take a shot. Two or more cameras can be used and the scene may be shot from different angles simultaneously. Different camera angles have different impacts on the viewer and how they perceive the scene from that angle. The relationship between the camera and the object being photographed gives emotional information to the viewer and guides his judgment about the character or the object in the shot. The more extreme the angle, that is, further away it is from the eye left, the more symbolic and heavily loaded is the shot. What are these different angles? Let's see them one by one. First, the bird's eye view. This shows a scene from directly overhead, a very unnatural and strange angle. Familiar objects viewed from this angle might seem totally unrecognizable at first. For example, umbrellas in a crowd, dancers' legs. This shot does, however, put the audience in a godlike position looking down at the scene. The perspective in this shot is very foreshortened, where the subjects are short and squat and can be made to look insignificant and like part of the wider scheme of the things. The shot can be used to give an overall establishment of the scene or to emphasize the smallness or insignificance of the subjects in the large universe. Just like a long shot, it can be used to capture the action like wars. Next, we will see high angle. High angle shots are not so extreme as bird's eye view. The camera is elevated above the action using a crane, pointing downwards to a general overview. These types of shot tend to diminish a subject, making it look intimidating or threatened. This is a conventional way of making characters look insignificant. For example, when two people are arguing, one tall and the other is short, the conversation can be shown from the high and low angles where the viewer can see each man's perception of the other. Next, eye level. The eye level shots are fairly neutral shots taken with the camera which is placed at the eye level of the character or the subject being filmed. In eye level shots, both the viewer and the subject in the film are at the same level. It is neither diminishing nor exaggeration like high or low angle shots. Majority of the shots in theatrical films and television episodes are shot at the high level. Even though eye level shots are theoretically exist, Directors always place the camera slightly above or below the eye level because true eye level is considered to be too direct for the audience. Next, low angle. A low angle shot is obviously opposite of the high angle shot, causing the opposite effects as well. It is the one in which the camera is below the subject and angled upward. It has the capacity to make the character or the subject look threatening, powerful and intimidating. You must have seen in many such Bollywood films where they show the villains or the antagonists from a low angle. The added height of the object may make it inspire fear or insecurity in the viewer who is psychologically dominated by the figure on the screen. The background of a low angle shot will tend to be just sky or the ceiling, the lack of the detail about the setting adding to the disorientation of the viewer. Next, worm's eye view. Worm's eye view can be considered as extreme low angle. Similar to the low angle, it is a shot that is looking up from the ground and gives the viewer a feeling of looking up at the character from the way below. It can be used to show the view of a child or a pet. Next, oblique or canted angle. The oblique shots, which are also known as Dutch angle, the camera is slightly tilted towards the left or the right side and not parallel to the horizon. It is used to suggest the imbalance, transition and instability in the emotions of the characters being filmed, or it may be the chaos in the world outside. It can be a sign for the audience to judge the world subjectively. Horror films commonly use oblique angles as there is so much disturbance and distractions in them. Summary: in this lecture, we studied the meaning and definition of videography and how it is different from cinematography. We also came across the recent history of videography. We studied different types of camera shots. They are establishing shots, character shots, wide shots, etc. These shots are used for different purposes. For example, an establishing shot is used for giving the background of the scene. Likewise, a close-up may be used for capturing the emotions of the subject or the character. Next, we studied about camera angles used in cinematography. The camera angle is the angle of the camera relative to the subject. Basically, it marks the specific location in which the camera is placed to take a shot. The relationship between the camera and the object being shot gives emotional information to the viewer and guides his judgment about the character or object in the shot. For example, in the high angle, the character looks diminishing or scared, while the same character looks dominating and intimidating if the camera angle changed to the low angle. So students, this is all for today. We have seen many different types of camera shots and many different types of camera angles in today's lecture. So make sure to use them when you next shoot a film. Thank you.